What actually makes a childhood great? Is it what we had, or was it the simpler times? For millions of us, the answer of a great childhood might start with Pokemon. Pokemon at its core is a very simple concept. It's all about capturing monsters, training them up, and using them for battles. That is the core of Pokemon. The idea came from the creator's experience as a child, catching insects, and probably, if we're being honest, making them fight against each other.
Let them fight.
I'm gonna say this, if you haven't played Pokemon, or if you never played it as a kid, then your childhood was fucking shit. It's the truth. Your childhood was shit. Just accept it. That is the truth.
Well, you don't have to be a dick about it.
When I was a kid, Pokemon was great. Everyone saw it as babyish though. I mean, if you told people back in like 2007, 2008 that grown men would have fights in a shopping center just for a box of Pokemon cards, they would have said, you're fucking crazy. What are you on about? Why would grown men fight over that baby shit? I mean, I made a tweet the other day talking about how in primary school, people used to fucking just like call me gay and shit just because I played Pokemon. And really, that was the Pokemon experience. It was very niche, it was low-key, and you had your group of friends that loved it, but everyone else sort of saw it as babyish. And the experience of the games were you played them, you caught and trained up your Pokemon over, let's say, the week, and then the weekend would come, you'd go over to your friends and you'd battle them using either a new team or your trained up team or maybe a new moveset. And the thrill of that was just fucking sick. It was amazing. It was great. Back then, I didn't care what anyone else thought about Pokemon. I loved it. I was Pokemon mad. Every game, I got it as it released. I collected the cards, and me and my friends, we loved it. We played it daily. We talked about it daily. It was my childhood. My problem with modern day Pokemon isn't anything to do with Pokemon as a whole. As a whole, Pokemon is fucking great. It's amazing. It's that I'm constantly seeing things that will eventually destroy the hobby of Pokemon. Now, you might think, oh, that's over-exaggerating it. Pokemon is this titan. It will never ever fall. Let me tell you something. Empires fall. It is the nature of empires. Every empire doesn't matter if it's Star Wars, doesn't matter if it's Pokemon, doesn't matter if it's the British Empire or the Roman Empire. It's in the nature of empires to fall. And one of the biggest signs is that Pokemon is no longer about the fun or the games or the collecting. Pokemon now has become all about infesting. And if you look at any Pokemon content on YouTube, you're going to just see numbers on the thumbnails. $1,000 card, $100,000 card, money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. It's no longer about the fun of just being in nature, going out and collecting these monsters. Now, you might be saying, well, you know, infesting's a good thing. And yeah, there's a lot of money to be made from Pokemon cards. And that's true for now, because remember, just because Pokemon did well in the last 20 years doesn't mean the next 20 years it's going to keep on going forward. Eventually, prices will drop. And we actually saw this with Star Wars. Star Wars merch was extremely expensive, extremely sought after, and I think it was around 2018, 2019, it started dropping. People just didn't care about Star Wars, and that eventually hurt the investments that people made on Star Wars because it was dropping in price. All the merch was dropping, and people don't want to buy things when it drops. They want to buy it when it goes up because that's human nature. You want to buy things when it goes more popular, more expensive, not when it's dropping down. So I feel like the same is going to happen with Pokemon cards. All these investors, all these scalpers running around, punching each other in the face, grabbing boxes of shelves. They're eventually investing in something that might not even live in the next 20 years. They might be holding on to these things to no profit whatsoever, or very minimal, because that is in the nature of things. Everything climbs and everything falls. That's just the nature of life. And really, the scourge of Pokemon right now, it's facing a problem it's never had to face before. And that problem is greed. You got these scalpers, you got these scammers. I mean, just recently there was allegedly a Logan Paul scam where he was scamming people. He's been sort of known for doing things like that, so I'm not really surprised. But these things are infesting the community, infesting the hobby of Pokemon. But there's a real big problem with these parasitic people sort of invading the community and creating a bad place, especially for the children that won't become fans because they're not able to get cards. I mean, how do you expect there to be future Pokemon fans and collectors and these people who are going to put money into the franchise when right now, as kids, in their prime, in their Pokemon Prime years to like it, they can't even get their hands on a box?
Looks like they're all out. Hurry up, you gotta beat the Scalpers. Oh no! Oh no, Leo! There was a person in front of it! Are they scalping? Check it.
Because you have these horrible fucking losers running around ripping things off shelves. And what really makes me laugh is that these people investing, you might lose on your investments. Pokemon is run by hype. If kids aren't getting into the hobby, if people can't collect things, if all of that goes, the hype will just die down, and then the hype will bring down the prices. This is what happens to things ran on hype. They lose value eventually because hype dies down. And that's just talking about the card game. If we talk about the greed of the company, it gets even worse. I mean, suing Power World is fucking stupid. Throwing balls at animals has been happening since time immemorial. When you throw a ball towards your dog, that should not be copyrighted. People throw balls towards animals, you know, in the real world.
This is real life.
Literally, you can throw your ball towards your dog and what? Nintendo is going to sue you because you fucking threw a ball towards an animal? It's stupid. And they didn't even invent the concept. The concept has been around forever. I mean, the idea of capturing dragons in dragon orbs goes back to like Chinese mythology. There's a lot of things where orbs hold creatures, or for example, like genies and lamps, you know, creatures being inside these like magical objects and then you're able to summon them from it. So Pokemon suing Power World is the most stupid shit ever, and it's also really funny because allegedly Pokemon stole their early designs from Dragon Quest. Now, I'm not going to say they did it, but have a look at these Dragon Quest monsters and have a look at these Pokemon monsters, and you tell me that there isn't some sort of influence going on here. Now, allegedly, they stole the designs. So it's funny that they're suing Power World over design similarities or choices when they're known for doing something similar back in the day. And in reality, they just don't know how to make good games anymore. So rather than having competition, they're just going to sue any competitor to the monster capturing genre because it's easier to do that than make good games that people actually want to play. And I can tell you why Pokemon sucks. As a Pokemon fan, I can tell you why the modern games are just not as fun as the previous games were in that generation that they came out. And it's because instead of listening to fans and actually putting more money and more dedication in making the IP better than ever, they're just being lazy. What we actually want is a Stardew Valley-like Pokemon game mix where you got the 8 badges, but then you have this lively town that feels like a real living world where people have things to do and you can build connections with them. Rather than getting that, we get shitty gimmicks. And by shitty, I mean really shitty. Now, X and Y was good. And even though Mega Evolutions got some flack, they were cool. They were cool. It was giving love to Pokemon or older Pokemon that needed it. So Mega Evolutions was quite a cool idea. But that idea has just been rehashed over and over again. It was like, now we're going to do Mega Evolutions again, but this time they're giant. Or we're going to do Mega Evolutions again, but this time it changes their type to a different type. Or they got a Mega Move, and this Mega Move is a special move they can use. It's just boring. Nobody wants gimmicks. They want a quality game. A game that makes you feel that you've been transported into the Pokemon world. And it is sort of funny that we got these games, but none of the games have actually made you feel like that you've been transported into the Pokemon anime. As I said before, look at Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley feels like a real world. The NPCs of Stardew Valley, they have things to do. they go around, that you can build relationships with them, and the town of Stardew Valley feels like a real place. Now, it's 2D, it's 2D sprite, and Pokemon used to be 2D sprites, but what makes Stardew Valley so special is that the characters in the world feel real. You can interact with them, and they got daily things to do. And really, that reminds me of another Pokemon IP that everybody loves, called Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. The reason why we love Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is that the world feels real, these characters feel real, and their problems feel real, and we sort of need that back in the Pokemon IP, especially for the main games that I don't think have ever really had that. The problem with Pokemon is that you get these worlds, the goal of the game is to get your 8 badges, defeat the Elite Four, and then the game is over. Yes, you can shiny hunt, but the game is over. We need a good Pokemon game with an end game, and it needs to feel like an RPG, almost like Skyrim or like Stardew Valley, where there's a lot of things to do, a lot of side quests, and the game's end game is so fleshed out that you have hours and hours of content to go through, even after defeating the Elite Four and doing all of that, especially if they were character driven, because then the world itself feels more real, the characters are rememberable, and the game itself will just be higher quality based on the writing. But in reality, I just don't see the Pokemon company, Nintendo, fixing Pokemon anytime soon. The truth is that Pokemon fans are so fucking stupid, they'll eat anything that Pokemon squeezes out for them. Here you go, Pokemon fans, eat your shit! Nom 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 nom! People need to start making Pokemon alternatives. There need to be new games, different IPs where you go and capture monsters and you tame up teams, and people need to really start looking for alternatives, because the Pokemon games aren't going to get better. Nintendo is not going to change. They love the money they're getting. As long as you're giving them money for shit, they're just going to keep creating shit. This is why, rather than going, oh wow, Power World looks really good, maybe we should up our game, they went straight to their legal team. How can we take this down? And defending and spending money on Pokemon, you're not defending them. You're fucking yourself over. Nintendo is fucking you. They're fucking you. They're taking your money for shit product. If you want better product, you need to hurt them where it counts. You need to stop giving them your money. And I'm gonna say this because it's the truth. Nintendo hates their fans. Look at the guy who spent years and years making this Pokemon documentary. Nintendo DMCA'd him. They took that down. They don't care that he's a fan. He was a threat to the IP. So yeah, if you're a Pokemon fan watching this, it's time to wait. I'm not saying that you have to dislike Pokemon. I'm not saying that your nostalgia of Pokemon is invalid and that you can't play the games or any of that. What I'm saying is that if you actually like this franchise, you need to be smarter with your money, and you need to stop just being a blind, mindless consumer, because it's not going to get you anything better. If anything, it will be the final era of Pokemon, because essentially it will just get so bad that you can't defend it anymore. And by that point, it'll be too late.